So you get to the point where I think the next memory, or at least the next significant memory, is when um, River and Johnny are talking by the lighthouse. And this is before River starts making the bunnies, just before she
Yeah,
starts making the bunnies. And
it's
he was saying, I forgot what, I guess Johnny admits to River why he started talking to her in the first place. The reason why he starts talking to her is because she's different.
yeah,
And that's when then River realizes, so he doesn't remember then,
yeah,
because
because that's when because in future memories, I mean, in memories you find out later, is Isabel. I think Isabel was the one who
Isabel.
convinced to tell River the truth about why
Yes.
he approached her in high school. And the thing is, that's when River finds out that he doesn't remember because he says they're talking in the lighthouse and he says, yeah, that's why I approached you. And I shouldn't have spoiled our first meeting like that. And
Yes.
that's when it clicks on River's head and she realizes that he thinks their first meeting was in high school and not at the carnival.
Not at the
And
carnival.
then because she can't tell him directly what she thinks because her condition, she she kind of tests him, and she
Yeah,
gives
it's a
him the
test.
hacky, yeah,
The hacky sack bag.
the hacky sack,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
She tells him, can you throw this hacky sack as far as where Anya sat? And
Yes.
then she's like, would you do it? Like, would you throw this really important thing for me that you gave me into the
Right.
ocean? Could you get rid of
Yes.
it just like that? And because he doesn't
Yes.
remember, he just picks it up and he throws it.
Right.
And then
Yes.
yeah, and then she runs after it and she almost
Yes.
falls off the cliff.
Yes. Yes, and as again, when you're playing it for the first time, you don't catch that at all, cuz and part of the I guess reason why it makes it even harder is because it's not voice acted. You don't really that sentence, would you throw it as far as you can towards Anya. I was
Mhm.
thinking, like, would you, because I'm asking you, like, would you do it if I asked you to? So I'm thinking, well, yeah, you're my wife. If you ask me to do something, sure, I'll do it. So not realizing that what she meant was not, would you do it because I asked you, would you do it knowing how important this is to me and how significant
Yeah,
this is? It did not dawn on me at that time.
yeah.
But
And
now
it's
that you bring it up,
really, yeah, and that's the incident because in previous memories that you get, Johnny says since the incident she's been
that
making
incident.
these bunnies, and the incident is she almost fell off the cliff. And if
Right.
you
She
pay
almost.
attention, if you pay attention to that exact cliff in previous memories, there's always a fence there. In the place where she almost fell, there's always a fence.
Oh, because of what happened in the incident. So we had to
Yeah,
put the fence up there to make
yeah,
her sure she doesn't fall off the cliff.
yeah.
Oh. But the reason why, here's the other thing. This is why this story is great, because you can so easily, during your first playthrough, say that, okay, well, River's behaving the way she's behaving because of her condition. Okay, sure, it's not her fault. That's just her condition. But there was actual reason why she was about to jump off the cliff. It wasn't
Yeah,
because of her condition. It was because, and I like this because it forces you to rethink about people with this condition, and we haven't actually said what the condition is. It is autism or
Asperger's syndrome.
Asperger's syndrome. Yes, because, and I didn't pick this up because I wasn't as well versed on. You pretty much are confirmed what it is when the doctor gives River the book and says this book was authored by this doctor. I forgot the doctor's name, but he.
Tony Atwood. He's a
Thank
professional
you.
in Asperger's. Yeah.
Yes. And he is the guy who, is known for, his, I guess, research on
Uh,
Asperger's syndrome,
Asperger's.
or
Yeah. Yeah.
he's an
It, I.
important medical
Mhm.
he's important in the medical field for Asperger's syndrome.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so that is the condition that River has, and it's just so neat because it's so easy to blame Asperger's. It's so easy to blame Asperger's and thinking people are doing these things because of Asperger's, and you never necessarily think that there actually is another reason why they're behaving the way they're behaving, and it's just hard for them to communicate that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is so cool. This is how deep. This is why this game is just so fascinating and so deep to me.
Yeah.
So was there anything else about that scene, Alexandra, that you wanted to touch on?
Um. Actually, hmm, I wanted to mention that I like that the how many are them? The three objects that remain through the whole thing: the backpack, the hacky sack, and the platypus. Like you see
Yes.
them always because those are the three objects that Johnny gave River: the backpack with the hacky sack, and the platypus. And they remain the whole until the very last memory. They're there. They're still there. And
Right.
you can find the backpack. You can find the backpack in the early memories, the first ones you go in, and it's all patched up. You know, you see the picture of the backpack. It's all
Oh,
patched
it's
up.
all patched up. Oh.
Yeah,
So did
yeah,
he
because
go out
it's
and
one of them. Huh?
think it's one of the things that River had?
Yeah, the backpack. It's
So
one of you find the backpack in one of the first memories you go in, and it's all patched up. You know, it's all fixed. Because that he kept the backpack. He kept River's backpack. He kept the platypus, but he got rid of the hacky sack accidentally.
yes. Oh, that's so cool. Huh.
Yeah,
I didn't notice that. So thank you
yeah,
for
because
pointing that out.
the platypus gets mentioned. That the platypus remains always, but the backpack never gets mentioned, but it's also there.
It's always there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. That is interesting. Cool. So then we back up more, and I think the next major memory is, well, like you said, Isabel convinces Johnny to tell River the truth about how they first met, and that's when I think that's the scene when I started crying. I think that was the scene when I actually started crying in my Let's Play, because she was talking about how her experience, Isabel's experience, going through the condition, going through the Asperger's, and how the reason why she is able to behave more
Normal.
normal, I'm using that term loosely, is
Hmm.
because she was diagnosed earlier, and therefore
Yeah.
was able to deal
She
with it
learned.
earlier.
Yeah, she learned how to behave normally.
Yeah. Whereas River, for whatever reason, her situation never did it until much later, and
Hmm.
the whole conversation about Isabel having to pretend day in day out to be completely somebody else, and how at the end of the day, all of her friends don't know the real her. They know some embodiment of her that isn't really her, and the real her is a
Hmm.
total stranger to them. And that's what really hit me a lot,
Yeah.
because people like me have been through that, and there are
Yeah.
many people throughout history who go through that all their life,
Yeah.
and it's again for something that it's something that they're born with and something that they can't help,
Hmm.
for something that causing them to behave in a way that society is saying they shouldn't be behaving, or
Hmm.
isn't normal. Maybe not necessarily they shouldn't be behaving, but it's just abnormal. So
Yeah.
yeah, that scene was
It was really
big for me.
it was really painful to watch you. It was uh, it broke my
Yeah,
heart.
I legitimately started breaking down a bit,
Yeah.
and
And
so
but as painful as it must be to having to pretend you're to be someone else in front of everyone your whole life, or at least for a big part of your life, it's still really painful not being able to. Because when you're not normal, when you don't behave normally, and if you don't learn to pretend you're something else, you remain an outcast your whole life, you know?
mm-hmm,
Because
yeah.
sometimes sometimes I think, what if I had learned how to pretend I don't have panic attacks? What if I had learned how to pretend I wasn't shy? I would have so many friends. I couldn't have lost so many friendships because I had a panic attack in front of them, and they just thought it was annoying, and they walked away
Which
from
is
me or
really
started ignoring
sad.
me.
Yeah, so that's really
Yeah,
sad.
because
I Go
yeah,
ahead.
because the first time, like the first time I had a panic attack in front of my friends, they helped me out. The second time, they did the same. The third time, They didn't do nothing, and for the fourth time, they walked away and never talked to me again. And I think,
Wow.
if I had learned how to pretend I don't have this thing, if I had learned to to fake it, if I had learned how to be someone else but myself, I would
Mhm.
still be friends with them. I would still be able to talk to them and hang out with them. But I can't because they don't talk to me anymore. And
That's so sad.
and it hurts. Yeah, and it hurts just as much as having to pretend you're someone else. It's
Yeah,
not being
that's
able to be someone
yeah. Oh, jeez.
else.
Um, yeah. No, I agree with you. That's
Yeah, because
that is a shame.
you see yourself in Isabel. I see myself in River. Because we're
Mhm.
like completely on the opposite sides. You're the one
Yeah.
who has to pretend, who had to pretend for a long time, and
Yeah.
I'm the one who never was able to pretend I was someone else, and I remained an outcast,
But
just like
what I
River.
but what I like about that conversation is Isabel was saying which one of us, which one of us is in a better place. Like, is River, is Isabel necessarily in a better place because she learned to pretend, or is River actually in a better place? Because Isabel has said she actually envies River because
Yeah,
she actually is able to be herself, and it's like it's a double either way it's a double-edged sword. There's pros and
yeah,
cons of each side, so it's a question of which side. Either way you have to sacrifice something,
yeah.
and I guess you just have to decide which of the evils is lesser for you, which of the two
Mhm.
evils are lesser for you, and that you can stand more. um but yeah, I like that Isabel was a character that was put there just so you can compare and contrast the two, and it makes you think which of the two is better off in the long run. Um,
Yeah,
it's hard to say. It's hard to tell. I mean, yeah,
yeah.
River might have been an outcast, but she ended up finding her love, and she ended up getting married. I don't know what Isabel's situation. I think Isabel did get married too,
She
but not to
mentions at one
Nicholas.
point, yeah, at one point she
Yeah,
mentions Ted. She says Ted. Ted and I have
yeah,
been friends,
Ted.
but that's all she says. You never
I
get.
made a mis. Yeah, I made a mistake, and I made the assumption that Nicholas and Isabel were married because I, saw them.
I actually thought that for a long time too. But yeah, there's a Ted, and
There's a
Nicholas has
Ted.
a daughter. Yeah, Nicholas has a daughter.
Gotcha. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Mhm.
So then we move back further, and I think that's the doctor's office where River formally gets diagnosed with
Mhm.
Asperger's.
But that
And
was that before or after the wedding?
I want to. Oh, that happened before. Well, chronologically happened before the wedding. So the
But
wedding comes first. We went
yeah,
back
the
to the
wedding
wedding
comes.
first
Uh
because
huh.
I remember that they went into the wedding already knowing about River's condition. So the wedding comes first.
Mhm.
Backwards, the wedding comes first,
Yeah.
and that is the first time you meet Johnny's mom, and she calls him Joey. So that's
Yeah.
where Joey comes.
And she gives him an Animorphs book as a wedding present.
Ah, gotcha. All right, I think I remember that now.
Yeah.
And then you have that, a lot of really sweet scenes between River and Johnny, and dancing in the lighthouse,
Then
and
the
it's very, very
lighthouse.
sweet.
Mhm.
And it's bittersweet because you know what happens next in the story. Like,
Yeah.
you know what their future is. That's what
Yeah.
makes this thing that makes this thing tough. Going
Mhm.
backwards chronologically makes it hard because you already know where it ends. So
Yep.
it's like these happy times, you're like, oh, they're happy right now, but yeah.
Yeah.
So that was tough. And then the doctor scene. I don't know.
Mhm.
I think we kind of talked about the diagnosis and Johnny not
Yeah.
wanting to read the materials, but he
Yep.
does mention. Oh, I'm sorry. The horse scene is there too, because the doctor was
Yeah,
like
yeah, that's
equine
before. Yeah,
therapy.
the horse. The doctor is the one who recommends the horse therapy.
Is that an actual thing in real life? Equine therapy? Is
Equine
that?
therapy. I think it is. I
You
think it
think it
is. I'm
is?
not
I would
sure.
like to think it is.
I think I've heard about it.
Okay. Like specifically, like horseback riding or any activity? Like, is it any
I
physical
have no
activity?
idea. I
I'm
have no
wondering what
idea.
it is about yeah, I'm wondering was it about horseback riding in general, like particularly, or just anything in general that's, I guess, go out and do something active, or I don't know how that. I guess I'm not really sure how that helps. Maybe it helps you to be more. I don't know. I don't know what's therapeutic about it, but
Yeah, and it was funny trying to see you, it was funny watching you trying to figure out how to work, because you were trying to click on the things. You just
yeah.
have to bump into them, like you just had to
Oh, I was
bump
trying to click
against,
on them. I didn't.
you
Yeah.
didn't have to click on them, you just
I
have,
just had to run into them.
yeah.
Okay. Okay, I didn't catch that. The controls, certain parts of the game, the controls left a little bit to be desired. I think I had a hard
No?
time. For
Really?
me, for the horse part wasn't intuitive for me, because, like you said, it wasn't clear that I had to run into them and not click them. And then the Zombieva scene, I had some trouble navigating my way with the Zombieva scene. But
Well, you did better than me when I played the game, so.
well, I appreciate that. So we go past the equine therapy. We go past the doctor diagnosis.
And then yeah,
What
and that's
came
when
next?
we learn that the ticking of the clocks bothers River.
Yes, the ticking of the clocks bothers River, and that's why none of the clocks tick in the house
Yeah.
or move.
But wait.
Even
Wait.
time doesn't advance in the
Wait,
house.
wait! I just realized something. In the
What is
house,
that?
in Johnny's house, that none of the clocks tick, but River was never on that house.
Oh.
I never realized that because
Oh.
River never
just-
made it to the house, and the clocks Johnny still has
Still
the clock.
don't tick. Cause
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Oh, I
interesting.
never realized
like
that.
No,
just,
that's
yeah.
interesting. That just clicked on me too. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Huh, I like that. Cool. All right, so the clocks don't tick even when River never made it to the house.
Mhm.
The scene before that was, I forgot what the scene before that was.
Which one?
What happens before, when you're going back in time, what happens before the doctor diagnosis? Before the doctor's office? I forgot what happens before
The
that. Is
next
that
memory. The next memory?
right? Does that jump
Is
us
that-
straight to the theater, the movie theater?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So that they jump really far back
Yeah.
in time to the movie theater, and they have their essentially their first date.
Mhm.
And there was that confusion. Oh, I didn't know you were in the theater the whole time. Why didn't you say something? Blah blah blah. And I don't know if there's anything significant other than that.
Well, that scene shows a lot about River's condition. The fact that she thinks that way. That we were watching the
Mhm.
movie together. We were in the same room, watching the
Mhm.
same movie, and
Right.
yeah, like it shows how it kind of shows how her mind works a bit.
Right. It makes sense. Like, yeah, technically they were watching the movie together. They were in the same room. So, yeah. That's a good point.
Mhm.
And then before that is the high school scene, which is
Yeah.
a longer scene. So you got the whole thing where he approaches River, and you learn a bit about what was like at school. He didn't have the aspiration to become an astronaut at the time. They had the push-ups in the gym class, and
And
is
the
there anything
scene,
else?
the scene where River answered the question, it was really cute seeing you trying to do Spanish. Because
Oh.
River says some words in Spanish and you trying to pronounce them.
I couldn't pronounce it. Yeah, I couldn't.
It's palos de la frontera.
Thank
That's how you pronounce that. And
Palos
palos de
palos-
la frontera.
de la Frontera. Palos de la Frontera. Apparently I didn't say it right.
No.
Hey, I'm from the Philippines, so a lot of our Tagalog words in Tagalog are Spanish words too, like basura and things like that. So a lot of but apparently I still can't pronounce the Spanish words
It's
correctly.
really, really cute.
Thank you. So, okay, so what else? Was there anything else in the high school that we besides the
and one
paintbrush?
of the
Because we talked about
big things- one of
paintbrush.
one of the big things. No, and then you get the scene where Johnny is painting in that class, in that painting class, and that's when he mentions he's never picking up a brush again.
Yeah.
And then you go to the gym, and you can see Nicholas and Johnny doing push-ups,
Yes.
one of the things is that Johnny loses. Johnny is the one who loses.
Okay.
And that plays a big part because later when the memories are changing, Johnny's the one who wins.
Oh, okay. I didn't notice that. And
Yeah.
what is that supposed to imply? What is it supposed
Is
to
that
mean?
he's trying really hard because when the memories are changing, he wants to be an astronaut. So of course he's trying to.
Ah, that makes
So in that scene,
sense.
yeah, in that scene,
That
if you pay
makes sense.
attention, Johnny's the one who
Gotcha.
wins and Nicholas the one
Gotcha.
who loses.
Cool.
Yeah.
See all these little things
Uh-huh.
I would not have caught.
Yeah.
The attention to detail that the
Mhm.
developers made in this game is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Um,
And then you go like a few minutes back where lunch is when Johnny's
Mhm.
talking about wanting to approach River,
mhm.
and that's when you get to know why he approached her in the first place. Is that
Right,
he just
'cause
wanted
she's-
her. He just wanted
she's
her because
different.
she was. Yeah.
Right. Well, I don't think
And
it's
he
a
wanted.
bad
No.
reason.
I mean, yeah, but it's still like because he says, "I need." He says something like, "I need something, Nicholas," and she's the one who has it. Like he
Mm.
just wants to use her because she's different because he wants to
Ah.
be different. You know?
Yes,
But
which is
yeah,
interesting because when they first meet in the carnival, she just wants to be normal.
yeah,
Because she's like, what's wrong with having a name just like everybody else? And
Uh-huh.
Nicholas is like, well, that's boring. I don't want to have a name like everybody else. I want to be different. So it's kind of,
yeah.
that really shows why they're made for each other.
Uh-huh.
Really.
And
'Cause they-
Nicholas mentions that he says that what if River wants to be normal and John would be
Mm.
pushing her in the wrong way.
Oh.
Yeah. And then Nicholas mentions that John is being cold and stuff. Like his reasons are just wrong. But still, Johnny, I mean, it's heavily implied that Johnny wants to approach River because he kind of remembers her,
Yes.
but he can't really place why.
But
So
this
he's
place
using,
why.
he's
So the
using
difference, yeah, the fact that she's
Different
different is probably the only explanation.
he can
That's the
find.
only- he
Yeah.
can find. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Mhm.
Which can come off as cold, but
Yeah.
once you get to the end of the story, you understand why.
Yeah.
So then they jump further back, and then that's when they reach the beta blockers, correct? Before high school, they reach the beta blockers, I think. No, because
No, they went to the house. To
Oh, the
Johnny's
house.
Yeah.
Johnny's house, and that's when you see the bunk bed.
Yeah.
And Joey's already dead.
Yeah.
So, and his mom's calling him Joey. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Gotcha.
Mhm.
You
And
find the
that's
Animorphs.
when-
Gotcha.
Yeah, the Animorphs and the football ball thing.
Yeah, that soccer ball or yeah,
The
yeah.
soccer ball. There we go. And you travel back
Football
and you
in
get to the
UK, yes.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
right.
here we call it football here.
Yeah, yeah. You guys call it football too. A lot of other people. I think soccer is, yeah, an American thing. So go ahead.
And then you use the ball to travel, and that's when you get to the memory he doesn't remember. Like
Right.
it's like everything is really broken.
Yep.
Mhm.
So then Eva and Neil finally decide, okay, well, we go in as far as we could. This should be enough. That should
Yeah.
be enough for us to
Uh-huh.
to string all these together and, you know, make him go to the moon and we'll call it a day. And then
Uh-huh.
obviously it's not that straightforward. Something goes wrong. And
Yeah.
then
Oh, and I forgot to mention a little thing. Is that the explanation at the very beginning, right before you sit on the couch and travel to the first memory, you get the option to talk to Lily. And if you talk to her, you get an explanation of what they're doing. But that
Yes.
dialogue that can't miss because if you just sit on the couch without talking to Lily, you'll miss that. You'll miss that whole dialogue.
I don't know
and-
if I got that dialogue or not. I know
No,
I
you
talked to
got
Lily
it.
at some point. Oh, I
Yeah, you
did,
got
because I know I
yeah,
did talk to Lily at some point.
Yeah, because they explain to Lily that what if our desire to do something remained through our whole life? What would we be able to achieve? And that
Mhm.
dialogue, it's missed a lot. I'm glad that you got
Thank you. I appreciate that.
it.
So
And then you go to the scene where you try to link the memories
yes.
to move to get the desire of going to the moon to his younger age, so he could,
Yeah.
fulfill it. It was really funny also watching you trying to figure that out. It happens a lot in the Let's Plays because
Yeah.
they think that they have to connect everything.
Everything.
No,
Yeah.
you just have to to move the desire. You know,
Yeah,
like you
I
connect
didn't
it.
catch that.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
connect it, the desire moves, and then no matter if you unconnect it, like the desire's
Yeah.
already there. So
It
you just
wasn't
have to,
intuitive. Yeah, I thought I
yeah.
did something wrong. I thought I was like, no, I don't. Now I'm not gonna get the perfect ending because I didn't line them up properly. That, yeah.
No,
So,
yeah,
well, I'm glad. I'm glad. It took me a while for me to realize that it was fine. What I was doing was actually correct.
yeah.
So, they after they realize something's wrong, then the most hilarious part of the game
Yes.
comes where Eva and
Neil.
Neil Watts are trying desperately to jump from time frame to time frame to time frame. That was great. The whole the I think my favorite of that montage was clearly Neil at high school pretending to be a representative from NASA. Because this like
Yes.
I'm from, and I tried to, you know, read the dialogue in such a way. Hello, I am here from NASA, and I am going to tell you how awesome it is to go to the moon. It is great for everybody, especially if you're a brunette. It's like, I
Right.
was like, oh, that's totally how Neil would have done it. And then when John is like, but I don't want to go to the moon.
I don't want
Then
to.
that's
Yeah.
correct. Wait, what?
That's,
It's like,
yeah. It's
love
great.
that.
Yeah,
And
that's
and
it. That's it. I love how the game, because the game is supposed to be heartbreaking, and the creator could have easily made a game that could make you that would make you cry through the whole thing. But
right.
no, he added
He
this
added these
little
breaks.
funny moments. Yeah.
Yes, because
And
you need to breathe. Yeah.
yeah, and it's really really great that
Yeah.
he's the writer of this thing, the creator.
Yes.
He was able to make you laugh, make you
Yes.
cry, and make you feel even scared,
Yes.
a bit creeped out in some scenes.
Yes. I feel like I
Uh-huh.
have experienced the entire gamut of emotions throughout this game. I think I felt everything. Anger, fear, laughter, sadness, of course, love. I think I felt that all, which is amazing. Not many
Yeah.
games can do that as well. The part during the montage where it starts off, because you see Isabel, we actually skipped this part. I'm gonna go and talk about this next. But there's the scene where Isabel is talking to Johnny when he's building the house, and
Oh
Johnny's
yeah.
having his doubts about this whole thing and about their financial problems. And it's a sad scene, and then there's sad music playing, and all of a sudden Neil comes in and says, but are you too poor for the lunar lottery? And it's completely takes you out. Because I went in thinking, oh, it's going to be sad again. And then music stops, and here comes
Yeah.
Neil. And he's yelling at him. And it's just like, oh my gosh, that was so well done.
Yeah, we forgot to talk about that scene. That also is a really important scene.
That's significant. If you want to go ahead and
Yeah.
talk about it.
Yeah, because that scene actually, it surprised, I mean, didn't really surprise me, but I always thought, every time I saw that scene, that was the point where I started having my doubts about Johnny, that he wasn't as good as a man as I thought he was, because he was acting, selfish and all that stuff. But then when you gave your point of view, that he had the right to be selfish, like, completely changed my point of view of Johnny. I never
Yeah.
thought it about that way. Yeah, because he has
We-
the right to be selfish. Like, he's about to lose his wife.
Yeah. Marriage is hard. Marriage is sacrifice, and we're only human. I think
Yeah.
that they're not considered sacrifices if you don't care about things. He could have just been like, "Oh, okay, sure, whatever you want, honey. It's okay." But then it's not really a sacrifice. So, I think it's in human nature, it's okay to rant about challenges in a marriage. It's okay to feel that you want to be selfish because from his point of view, he's wondering, how much, like, does my wife really care more about this lighthouse than she does about staying with me, her own husband. But if that's what she wants, I'm gonna give her what she wants. So I think it's, yeah, I believe that he has the right to want to be selfish. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
he's still obviously in love and devoted to River at the end of the day. And I think that the doubts that he had just shows how strong his love is. Because if he didn't have doubts in the first place, then it's not nearly as meaningful, in my opinion. His love for River isn't as meaningful if he didn't have those doubts that he overcame, that he actually overcame something. So those were what I was thinking.
You helped me change my point of view, Johnny, because that scene always made me, kind of, hate Johnny a bit. But now
he's not a perfect person. He's realistic. I think he tried to make it. The writer wanted to make this as realistic as possible, and love is not always, a love story is not always what you see in Disney movies. It's not always this perfect thing where everybody gets along at the end and they live happily ever after and they never fight ever again. They never have issues. They never have problems, because that's not what marriage is. In reality, people have their own issues. Every couple has their own issues I have issues with my fiance, believe me. We badly have our issues, and we will continue. But the important thing is just to know that despite whatever hardships you have, if you do love somebody, then your moments of weakness or the moments of challenges, you will overcome them together. You'll overcome them. Even if it means that you'll end up losing each other physically, at least on this planet. You'll end up losing each other physically on this planet, and that's, I guess, the ultimate sacrifice. Willing to sacrifice more time with the person you love if their last wish is not necessarily to not be with you, but their last wish is to, I guess, befriend and protect this lighthouse that is very clearly important to River, because it's very meaningful to her, meaningful to their relationship. So,
yeah.
But so there's that scene.
Yeah, going back to the hilarious scene. They fail. Yeah, they're failing horribly trying to convince Johnny to go to the moon, because he doesn't really like, the desire was transferred. They say a lot of times that the desire was clearly transferred, but
Right.
the reason why he didn't want to go to the moon is because he wanted to go to the moon because of the promise. Like as long as River is not around, he will want to go to the moon. So
Right.
because he had River was right there. So of course he didn't want to go to the moon because River was right there. Why would he want to go if she was
Right.
already with him?
Right.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. It wasn't until he lost River that he wanted to go to the moon. So
Yeah, when
yes.
River died. Yeah, when River
When River
died,
died,
he still had. Yeah,
and
he
that's
still knew. He still kind of
yes.
remembered the promise. That's why he wanted to go to the moon.
Yes, and that's why Eva thought, okay, the only way that we can get him to the moon is if we get rid of
River.
River. And that's what begins the big debate between, and this is why I love what they did with Watts in this portion, because up to this point, Watts, again, he was the comic relief, didn't really take things seriously. But the moment that Eva is threatening to get rid of River in order to fulfill their contract, because that's what any responsible employee would do, is to follow the contract, and then Watts's argument was like, well, why are we even working for this company? We're working this company because we're trying to help people. Like, I understand this is what he signed up for, but we're trying to make these people happy at the end of the day. We're not trying to fulfill a contract. We're trying to make these people happy. We're trying to help them. And when Watts said that, I was like, oh my gosh, you do care. Like, I knew he cared, but it was just really cool when he actually said it. And standing up to Eva, and it was beautiful, because it just showed that Watts is not a one-dimensional character who's only there for the comic relief. He actually legitimately cares, and he challenges Eva about what is really important here, and that's, for him, I think, is really deep. And that's why Watts easily became my favorite character from that point on. I already loved him beforehand, but the moment he became deeper than that is when I had so much love for him. So then they go back to the real world. They leave the Matrix, and you know, you have that brief interlude. I think you end up talking with Lily briefly. There's minimal
Yeah.
conversation with the kids.